Today, no one can say with certainty what the total wealth of the Rothschild family is. Estimates suggest it is far beyond $1 trillion and may even exceed 10 trillion. This is a figure larger than the economies of many nations. But how did a single family build such immense wealth? More importantly, how did they keep that wealth invisible for centuries? How did they remain in the shadows while simultaneously shaping the world stage? This is one of the most complex financial autopsies in history. Today, we examine the invisible anatomy of the Rothschild Empire. Case file: the Rothschilds. Symptoms: a force that repeatedly appears throughout history but leaves almost no trace. A multi-billion-dollar question mark. This is not simply a story of financial success. It is also a story of mystery, power, and an invisible network of influence. For generations, the Rothschild name has been surrounded by whispers. They have been accused of financing wars, placing kings on thrones, and even removing them. But beyond all the rumors, what are the actual facts? How did they hide their wealth? And how does this mystery still influence modern finance? This documentary is a journey into the financial anatomy of the Rothschild family, an attempt to illuminate the power they wield from the shadows. Every great fortune has a beginning. The Rothschild story began in the narrow streets of Frankfurt. In 18th century Frankfurt, Meyer Amschel Rothschild started as a small money changer and antiques dealer in the Jewish ghetto. Through intelligence, ambition, and strategic foresight, he began managing the wealth of the House of Hesse-Kassel. This was the first major clue. Meyer Amschel's genius was not limited to making money. He distributed his legacy equally among his 5 sons and sent them across Europe. This 5 arrows strategy strengthened the dynasty. The brothers built a secret communication network that allowed them to manipulate financial information faster than their rivals. Then came the Battle of Waterloo. Nathan Rothschild received intelligence from his brother in Paris and made a decisive move in British bonds. An empire was being born. This early access to information gave him an advantage measured in hours and sometimes days over competitors. Their wealth multiplied rapidly. But one of their most effective strategies was marrying within the family. The Rothschilds prevented both wealth and information from leaking outside the dynasty. These internal marriages protected the fortune from fragmentation and acted as a shield for the family's financial secrets. Banking empires, properties, art collections. Wealth was never concentrated under a single roof. Instead, it was strategically diversified: railroads, mines, and canals. The Rothschilds played key roles throughout the Industrial Revolution. Infrastructure investments became a permanent source of power. They helped shape the international bond market. They lent money to governments, financed wars, and influenced the destinies of nations. They profited even from political instability. While financing conflicts, they also invested in rebuilding during times of peace. Another key clue behind their secrecy was their structure itself. Trusts and complex corporate networks made money effectively invisible. These complicated structures prevented wealth from appearing to belong to a single person or institution. Like a spider's web, their influence spread everywhere. The clues were abundant, but each one was accompanied by myths. Where did reality end and fiction begin? Countless conspiracy theories emerged around the Rothschild family. They were accused of controlling every nation's currency and orchestrating global conflicts. One of the most famous claims was that the Rothschilds controlled all central banks. But how did this narrative spread through distorted interpretations of reality? The truth is that the Rothschilds did lend money to many countries and maintained relationships with central banks. However, influence is not the same as control. Another misleading claim suggested that they financed every world war for their own benefit. This oversimplifies the complexity of history. Like many banks of their era, the Rothschilds lent money to nations at war. It was a risky but profitable business, but they were far from being the only financiers. Many of these theories were fueled by anti-Semitic prejudice. Their Jewish identity made them an easy target. These false trails obscured the truth. The family's actual strategies for preserving wealth disappeared behind layers of myth. So what were the real mechanisms that allowed the Rothschilds to make their wealth invisible? When the curtain of mythology is pulled back, a far more complex and fascinating reality emerges. The Rothschilds applied a simple yet brilliant strategy. They combined an international financial network with unwavering family loyalty. Much of their wealth was managed through private and highly complex trusts. These structures blurred ownership. A trust could legally transfer ownership while keeping the ultimate beneficiaries hidden. This system was passed down through generations. Their wealth circulated within the family while remaining largely invisible in public records. Diversification became another essential tool. Banks, mines, vineyards, artworks, and real estate were spread across multiple sectors. This strategy allowed them not only to grow, but also to remain invisible. By the 20th century, the world had changed, and so had the Rothschilds. The old empire shrank, but never truly disappeared. Different branches of the family continued operating through independent companies and investment networks. The goal was no longer to become the world's largest bank, but to remain embedded within the world's most influential financial circles. They maintained interests in energy, mining, finance, wine production, and advisory services. The visible bankers of the past evolved into invisible strategists. Once they lent money to governments. Today, they advise some of the world's wealthiest families and largest corporations. The Rothschild name may no longer dominate headlines, but that does not mean their influence has faded. In many ways, it has become even deeper. Their ability to conceal wealth was not merely a financial strategy. It was a survival mechanism. The Rothschild case study reveals more than the fortune of a single family. It reveals the nature of power itself. True power often resides in the shadows. Even today, their total wealth remains a mystery. For the Rothschild family, invisibility has become more than a strategy. It has become an identity.